speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in 6 hours.
7-footers gang, welcome back. It's Jarod and Jenna. We didn't mean to leave you hanging, but everybody needs a little all-star break.
Got to, man. Got to take a little break, recharge the batteries. You know how it is, but we're back, Jenna.
We are back, baby. We are back like LeBron after an injury. I don't know. I just had to think of something LeBron-esque to start the show. Clearly, but we don't have time for that, Gerard, because we have to talk about the aftermath, or should I say the backlash, from NBA All-Star Weekend in Salt Lake City, Utah. The Jazz hosted this year. Dwayne Wade was all over the place. You guys know he's a part owner, of course, in the team. But really bad reviews, really mixed reviews. I mean, again, you know that's our like stomping grounds for, hanging out with our friends, yet,
Right.
grinding. But from a non-reporter standpoint, a lot of people weren't happy between the dunk contest and everything else that went on. Who was it? Mike Malone said it was the worst All-Star game that's ever been played. I mean, there's so much to unpack, but, what do you got to say about this? What's the deal?
I mean, Jonah, it's All-Star Weekend. What do you guys think this is supposed to be? I just, I think a lot of people, Jenna, have this, nostalgic memory of what All-Stars used to be, back in the 90s and what have you, and it used to be different, and it felt more of an event and a big deal. But since the advent of League Pass and social media and all these things, we see these stars are ubiquitous. We see these. I don't need to turn on the All-Star game to go watch Nikola Jokic, right? In years past, when League Pass didn't exist, if I wanted to catch David Robinson on the Spurs and he wasn't on a national TV game, I had to wait till All-Star to see him, right? I can see anyone, anytime, whenever I want, right? So I feel like that was one of the big draws for All-Star, was that stars that wherever you lived, if you were an East Coast person and you had the Knicks and whomever, it was okay, you see those teams, right? And you see the national game with the Bulls and whoever, but maybe you didn't see Phoenix or the Lakers much, or, the Utah Jazz or whomever. But now you see whatever team whenever you want. That's the one thing. I think the ubiquity of the players. The other thing is, yes, the superstars no longer do the dunk contest, right? Gone are the days where Vince Carter and all these, and Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins did it back in the day. That it's over. Superstars don't do it anymore. Look, I would like to tell you I know why, but they just don't. It is what it is, right? But when you are having an event that is supposed to be for the casual fans want to see the famous people they know. The famous people they know in the NBA are LeBron James, Giannis, Kevin Durant, right? Steph Curry. These are the people they know. And they want to see those people because those are household names. Well, that's just not the case anymore, right? In three-point contest, you will get some names, right? Steph and Clay have both won it. They've done it in the past. But it's just not that situation anymore. And the other piece about this, Jenna, is that, and I know fans don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. These players are exhausted. Yeah. They would rather be anywhere else than at All-Star Weekend. We are 2/3 of the way through the season. These guys have grinded through 60-something games already. They just want a break. They want to not see their teammates. They want to go to a beach somewhere, go home to their mama's cooking, whatever. Just get away from all of this for a bit, right? Just like how, we need vacations in our jobs. Got to get out of here. I need a break, right? That's what they want. They want a break. Now, yes, you're all going to be like, but Gerard, they get paid millions. Okay, fine. Whatever.
Oh,
yes,
God.
That's what the money's for. I understand. But that doesn't mean that you want to be thinking and doing this 24/7, right? And the other big piece, Mike Malone said it's the worst All-Star game he's ever seen. This is not a real basketball game. These guys are not trying to get hurt out there. So, of course, they're not going to be going hard. And, again, they would rather be anywhere else than where they are. And from a media standpoint, for us, Jenna, there's nothing on the court that, we go there for, right? We go for, we schedule, if we go to All-Star Weekend, It's because we've scheduled ahead of time interviews with
Mhm.
specific players, right? Through their shoe company, their agent, or whatever, to get exclusive one-on-one access for some video or for a short pod or what have you, right? That's our business side, right? One of our business pieces. The other piece is for us to network and, tap in with our sources in and around the league and around the game, right? Okay, cool. And then the third part, full transparency, is when reps at our favorite brands like Jordan Brand and whomever invite us to parties and we get swag and whatever. But actual like on the floor all-star stuff, no.
Yeah.
We're not
Nobody
there.
even really stays for the All-Star game.
I mean, the veteran move is when you're someone involved, like journalists, like we are with the NBA, is you get in, you fly in Thursday night, right?
Yep. Key is to get there early.
Or Thursday evening or late afternoon, and you fly out Sunday morning before the game.
Yes.
Like,
that is the All-Star secret.
Right? That's the goal. That's what we're trying to do. So, and again, the arena is not even filled with actual NBA fans. It's partners and sponsors, friends of partners and sponsors, family members of partners and sponsors. It's filled with NBA employees, family and friends, right? Players, family and friends. It's not like, oh my God, the All-Star game is in, Chicago and a bunch of like Chicago Bulls fans, like maybe like, I don't know, 1,000 of them get in, 2,000, 3,000. Rest of the arena, that's not what it is, right? This is a very different thing. So I say all that to say, All-Star game just isn't. It's not that, right? It's a league. It's an opportunity for the league to have everybody descend on a city. People to connect various things. Adam Silver to do his like State of the Union address, and again, and you guys might see a couple cool things here and there. You might see a couple of your favorite players like smile and do a couple like actual basketball. Not for that.
1,000%. I couldn't agree more. It's entertainment. That's what it is. And a lot of people that try to have the argument about it are on the side of basketball, and then a lot of people are on the side of entertainment, I think. And of course they go hand in hand. However, if you want to see real basketball, you're not going to tune in. It's just
that's the thing, Jenna. It's like the people who are getting mad, they're like, I want to see, but if you want to see a real basketball, why are you tuning into an All-Star game?
Yeah, like, you should be taking a break just like them.
Right? I mean, like
whoever.
What this is. This is not for real. Like, there's no stakes. And everybody's like, oh, you got to incentivize the players more, give them more. Like, I don't think they care. They just don't want to do it. Like, they're exhausted. They don't want to fly in. And the other part about it is the players it's not just the All-Star festivities, like, the showing up for the skills and all that other shit. They have league obligations, right? There are a number of league sponsored things they have to do, right? Hobnob with specific partners that are very important to the league that they have to talk to. Then their own brand and agencies that they work with. It's just nonstop. And then people like us, oh, you got to go see Jarod for 15 minutes. And it's like, oh, fuck, I want to talk to that dude. Like, sure, like, right? Like, I mean, this is what it is. It's just they touch down Thursday night after a game, right? Exhausted. And they're just going. And then by Sunday, of course, they're beat and don't want to. Well, they're gonna run around and try hard in the game. They got 2 days off where they gotta be back at practice. Like, no. So again, I understand. I get that fans are angry, but it's like, look, in the arena, it's not. Fans in the arena are not. They're not fans like that. So I don't think anyone in the arena is angry. For the people at home on TV complaining on Twitter, you got 9 million other entertainment options. Do something else. Like, if you're watching and complaining, you just hate watching it. If that's what you want to do, cool. Hate watch, but own up to what you're doing. You're hate watching it, right? Like, just be real about what it is, right? It's, I mean, to me, not worth it.
Yeah. All right. Well, so, does this need to be fixed? Does it need to be blown up? Does it need to be? What would be the solution if you were Adam Silver?
I don't think it's going to change, Jenna, because like I said, there are a few important league partners.
Yeah.
And individuals. So let me be clear about that. I can't really talk too specifically about it because I don't want, but there are specific people who are involved in partnering with the NBA, right? Their biggest sponsors and partners. And it's about hobnobbing with those people, right? And If the NBA wants to keep its billions of dollars coming in, well, this ain't going to continue. So it ain't going to stop. So get over it. Like it's going to be how it is because it's never going to end. It's never going to get more competitive than it is because the game does not matter. It has zero stakes. It has no impact on playoffs. See, it means nothing, right? It literally means nothing. We had the Elam ending and it was like, oh, it's kind of cool. And it was like in Chicago, it was really dope. Like it, like you like, oh, these guys like are really competing. But again, ultimately, this is not real ball, right? So it's going to remain in the form that it is. I think you can probably make the 3-point contest last because that seems to be more of the exciting one as opposed to the dunk contest because, superstars aren't doing dunk contests. I mean, John Morant already said, I'm not doing it. So stop asking me, right? Like, so, I mean, you're just not going to see those kinds of things. So you'll still see stars do the 3-point contest, make that the highlight. I would get rid of the skills competition. That's just dumb.
There's no point. There's no point.
There's just no point in that. Like, honestly, do 3-point. I would pare it down if I'm being honest. And pare it down. Just do dunk 3-point on Saturday. Let's not have it long and drawn out, melodramatic, quick. Why are we drawing this? And I know why we're drawing out because you got the advertisers and blah, blah, blah. But pare that down. The rookie, sophomore, rising stars game on Friday. That's fine. Like, that's perfectly fine. You want those guys to do whatever. Yeah. Sure. Celebrity game, whatever. I mean, that's neither here nor there for me. And the game itself on Sunday, again, you're not, I don't know what you're expecting. It's not going to be game 7 of the finals. Like, it's just not, right? You're not getting that level of intensity.
Oh, man, you kill me. Well, another year has gone by. And
gotta keep it real.
You know what? I wasn't too sad to miss this one. I wasn't. At first I was, I was in my feels. But no.
And again, for us, Jenna, it's about, we're going to go. I mean, we tease about Utah. It's cold, but it's about what can we do and get lined up ahead of time, right?
Yes.
If we're getting exclusive one-on-ones and okay, then it's like, all right, I got these 2 or 3 interviews. Maybe it's like had a Jordan brand and it's like 2 players. Great. Okay. That's dope stuff. Now I can be like, okay, it's perfect. I can make the argument to go with myself, which is like, all right, now I can hobnob with like, my sources and different people in and around the league, right? And then it's like, okay, here's my invite to this place and this thing and that. Cool, right? But if it always starts with the work. If I can't guarantee and set up one-on-ones and
exactly.
I'm going to travel all that way to get canned quotes that like I can.
Yeah, and it wasn't a 2-hour flight to Chicago.
Right,
it was
like right. I mean, it's just there's just not there's no reason for it, right? It's it's not necessary.
Exactly. All right, let's close the book on that one because we have to talk about the sorcery that happened overnight while we were sleeping.
Yeah, we haven't had a podcast since this happened.
We haven't. And I just been waiting to hear your thoughts because again, I call it sorcery because we woke up and Kevin Durant just took a leap over to the West. Just went to the West Coast, left us here in the East, couple hours ahead here. And with a bunch of questions, he requested a trade. Of course, guys, you guys know by now, you heard the news, the Woj bomb, KD to the Suns. Now the Suns are automatic championship contenders, of course, now that, Chris Paul can lead and do Chris Paul things and KD has the pressure off of him and D-Book can thrive and
Ayton,
the list goes on.
And
now Ayton's all of a sudden happy he doesn't need the bag that he was asking for because he got Kevin Durant, so he might get a ring now. There's so much to unpack here. What the hell? And that was a couple days, of course, after, they traded Kyrie to the Mavericks. Nets completely different team that they're looking at there. But hey, coach signed an extension and they have some great role players.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Let's chat.
Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. Yeah, Jock Vaughn has been in multi-year extensions, done a great job with them. I think, Jenna, it's interesting what you said because it happened a couple of days after Kyrie. And I thought that, to me, was so illustrative. How those 2 trades went down was so illustrative of, 1, their time in Brooklyn, and 2, how the Nets and both players felt about the organization. Kyrie wanted to go to LA. That's where he wanted to go.
Yeah, I was very surprised about that Mavericks move.
The Nets, Joe Tsai, Sean Marks, had no impetus or desire to do anything that he wanted. And why should they? because at every turn he undermined the organization, right? We've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast. Not showing up to work, taking unexcused absences, like there was always something. And then going public and ugly with your trade demand, right? Because you knew they weren't going to re-sign you, because you thought after behaving for 6 weeks, that was good enough to get you a 4-year full max extension. I'm sorry, what? You show up to work for 6 weeks and you're quiet and you think that's going to erase the last 3 years that we've seen what you've done here? Sorry, my friend. And the Nets, rightfully so, wanted to put conditions in the contract to ensure to protect themselves.
We spoke about it.
Right? He didn't want those conditions. Well, is what it is. Conversely, Kevin Durant had a public trade demand in the summer. The two sides eventually met, said they would come back. But Jenna, they were always in constant dialogue. And Durant and the team agreed. Yeah, you come back and come play like you always do and show up. We will do our best to put the best pieces around you. If for whatever reason it starts to tank or go sideways for obvious reasons because Kyrie is here or whatever else happens, we will work with you behind the scenes to move you to Phoenix because we know that's where you want to go. All right. Jenna, the Nets worked with Kevin. And so once Kyrie went down and it was like, okay, we're losing a bunch of games and then they're not going to re-sign him. And it's like, okay, like, I just feel like, I don't know what's going on here. He wants out. Like if he wants out, let's try to get me where I want to go. If for some reason you can't get me to Phoenix now, I'll play out the rest of the season. We'll see as far as we can go. And in the summer, you'll work to get me to Phoenix. Both sides did that and agreed to keep everything quiet, not leak anything out in the media or say anything about anything. Lo and behold, what happens? Kevin ends up in Phoenix, right? He gets to go where he wants. The Nets get back what they, right? Everybody wins in this scenario, right? And the lesson there is that, well, and look, this is not to say that Kevin Durant, was perfect during his time in Brooklyn, but it's to say that when you come to work and you show up and do what is right, people are willing to work with you. When you're not, well, you see what happens. And it was illustrative by the comments from Sean Marks about both of them when they left. There's really nothing that they said about Kyrie, and it was glowing things about Kevin Durant. And actually, the social media team was funny because Kyrie got traded first. They did not put out any kind of thank you, whatever, nothing.
Just gonna say that, yeah.
And then Durant gets traded. They immediately, thank you, Kevin, video, whatever. They eventually put out a thing for Kyrie, but clearly, it was, they were sending a message that they were not thrilled with how Kyrie comported himself when he was there.
Even the way he handled himself, and again, not to poke fingers at him, but even the way he spoke about the Nets when he got to Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
As opposed to the way Kevin spoke.
Right.
Again,
right.
I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but Kyrie sounded a little salty.
Right.
And kind
Katie
of
is
I'm
nothing but love for those guys.
Yeah.
It's just, Jenna, it's about being a professional. When we leave jobs or whatever happens, there may be hurt feelings or whatever, but you and I know you don't trash bosses and former places out in public in mixed company where other people might hear, no matter what you actually feel about the situation, right?
Yeah.
You conduct yourself in a certain manner, a professional manner. Well, Durant did that. Kyrie did not. All right. And that is a reality. And, look, kudos to the Nets. They got back a ton of draft capital, some great young players, right? So the Nets will be a fun team. They're actually, it's funny, they're like how they were before they got Katie and Kyrie, just a little bit better than that, actually. So yeah,
right?
They're fine.
The culture is back.
It's back. It's back.
I love it. You love to see it. And I love that they extended coach. And I think that's awesome. But this is going to be interesting once Katie gets out there with the Suns.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, look, the Suns, prior to this, right, Booker was injured for a bit and they were faltering, right? They had a good start to the season, but then Booker got injured. Chris Paul wasn't playing well and they started slipping. And prior to that, I was like, this team isn't going back to the conference finals. They got no shot. Well, now you have a shot, right? You have Kevin Durant. So things have changed. You have a shot to get back to the conference finals and a shot to get to the NBA finals. Look, you need to be good, very good, and lucky to win an NBA championship. So I'm not going to say the Suns are the favorites clear out, but because they have some depth issues, beyond those 4 guys that are starting, and those are big 4 pieces. We'll see what they can do and fill out the rest of the roster and who else can be. Because you know what it's like about in the playoffs, Jenna. Can you play as little bad players as possible and for the least amount of time, right? That's the goal, right? That's the goal.
Really great way to put it when you dumb it down.
But it's really what it is, right? Like, think about it. Like, when your star players go to the bench, do you maintain your lead? Do you sink? Do you, right? And the thing about the playoffs is, as I say it all the time, you don't get to play Houston and Charlotte and San Antonio and Detroit, right? All the dregs of the league. Everybody is good. No back-to-backs. So we have all the film and scout on what you like to run. We're going to hunt your weakest player right? It's all the different things that make playoff basketball so different than regular season, right? It's like you can't hide. Or it's like, we got a second back-to-back. Everything is exposed. So you want to limit your terrible parts. You want to limit that exposure, right? So that's the goal. Teams that win limit that exposure, right? And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But look, I think Booker, Durant, Paul, Ayton, I mean, that's as good a top 4 as anybody has in the league. It's going to take them some time to work the kinks out. They got about 22, 23 games left. I don't know when Durant's back. Their first game, I think, is on Friday. Not 100% sure if he's cleared for that game yet, but let's say he plays 17 games, right? They're going to kind of have to get into a groove. And, if they can, it might be a nice springboard to get them on a nice little streak of playing well so that they're ready for the postseason.
Oh, you love to see it. I'm over here crying about Chris Paul possibly winning his first ring. And then I'm also thinking about wait till they win a couple straight and everybody's like, oh my God, champion.
So, you know how it is. Those narratives change.
Of course. Had to lay it out there. All right. This is all the time that we have for, guys, because again, we are still enjoying our All-Star break and we got some more basketball coming up. So stick with us.
As always, guys, you know where to find us: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, at 7footers Pod on Twitter, at 7footers Podcast on Instagram, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemoncelli. And until next time, everybody, peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back. I don't want to trap with some